Today I effed up by telling my boyfriend I wanted to break up to try and win an argument, which already terrible sign, not something you should ever do. That's just playing games in a way that you shouldn't. I already know that I effed up huge. I just want to get it out. For a little background, I'm a recovering alcoholic, 4 months sober now. So obviously I had a problem and I ended up getting really sick, and he had taken me to the hospital. For the first week, he stayed with me every day, but eventually he had to go back to work, and I was pretty upset because I didn't want to be alone in the hospital, and we argued about it a lot. Then I found out after a few days he had missed a week of work after he left the hospital. We'd been texting, but he hadn't responded as much as usual. And his cousin had called me to ask if he was okay, and I didn't know he had been missing work. I called him and he sounded bad, like really sick. He said he hadn't smoked cigarettes or weed in over a week, and he hadn't been able to eat or drink anything without getting sick. I told him to go to the doctor, but he said he couldn't afford it since I had already been sick in the ICU. I was pretty worried. He sounded terrible, lost his voice. I could hear him puking over the phone. So I called an ambulance to our room. After a few more days, he'd gotten better and we were talking like everything was okay. I wasn't in the hospital and he wasn't working 7 days a week, 10, 12, 14-hour days. He came and visited me on the weekends after work, and I could tell he was always tired. We argued a little because I didn't want him to leave me alone at the hospital at the time, using somebody else as a crutch a bit too much. Then he got a letter from our state from CPS. His kids got taken away from their mom months ago, and no one told him until then. And they wanted to give him custody of his kids who he hadn't seen in 2 years. Wow, this is a all-around rough relationship, rough people to be in this situation. Okay. He was beyond excited. He got to talk to them for the first time in years. He cried after he got off the phone telling me about it. Then came the big thing. He wanted to stay together but wait for me to move back in until his court was over. Because I was an alcoholic, I had current medical history and problems because of it. It caused a huge argument. I was so mad because he used to drink worse than me, to the point that he's thrown up blood and had the shakes when he quit drinking. I felt it was unfair. I did not want to be with him when I get out of the hospital, even though he said he'd visit me at my mom's or rehab. We fought about it every day for 2 weeks. He kept telling me to grow up and his kids come first. Yeah, but he stopped. Exactly. He made the improvement on his end, and now his kids come first. That's how it works. Exactly. I got my commenter saying, his kids take priority over you. Tough shit. Absolutely. And he even says if it was the other way around, he would do it no questions asked so I could get my son. Okay, both these people have kids that they haven't seen because of their problems. This is not a great situation. Okay. And he would have done that. I know that. He worked and took care of me for a year while I spent all his money and got sick. Even gave me sponge baths in the hospital and called my son so I could talk to him because he thought I was going to die. Oh my God, the level of terrible situations left and right. Oh my God. Okay. Like, I know I was beyond stupid, but I told him if I had to stay somewhere else, we were breaking up. You probably should anyways. It's always worked before when I wanted to get what I wanted, but this time he said, fine, good. I'm glad that he was done with putting up with your shit. He should not put up with you anymore. You are already exhausting and I'm only 2 paragraphs in. He told me to do what I wanted and then that I could be single since I always threatened it and he didn't have time to deal with this right now. Good for him. Honestly, I didn't know what to do. I was mad. He always just let me have my way, and he probably shouldn't have. Damn straight he probably shouldn't have. You shouldn't be acting that way. You're a child. You act like a child. This is so frustrating. And I didn't know what to say. The last thing he told me was that he's sorry and he really loved me, but he couldn't do this right now and he hopes I stay sober. It's been 4 months and I'm sober living, but I don't have a job and haven't found a new place to stay. He still asks my mom about me and he hasn't found anyone else. He has his kids back and they're all doing good. Good. Stay out of his life. You're a terrible person for him and his kids. I'm happy he's doing good and his kids are safe now. I wish I was there. I miss him. I miss how he would always hold me when I didn't feel good, or how he made me dinner after I got home from work. I miss his kids and I wish I could hug them all one more time. I miss how he would smile whenever I pulled his hair out of his face or rubbed his chest. I want to talk to him so bad, but I've blocked him on everything because he told me to lose his number and that he didn't want to see me again after our last fight. He's always told me he's never felt like he did about me with anyone. He took me back after I left him for someone else for a year after his ex ran off with his kids. You left him for somebody else and he took you back. and then you still continue to treat him like absolute garbage. I messed up so much with him. I never deserved how great he treated me. I've never had that before. Breakfast in bed when we didn't work, flowers whenever he got paid, presents just because he wanted to, watching my favorite shows I know he hated and pretended to love them. I bitched at him all the time about stupid stuff, and he always stayed. He held me and rubbed my hair when I was mad at him and punched him and gave him a black eye. So you were emotionally, physically, and financially abusive to this guy. I just took it all for granted he would always be there. I always thought that because he loved me, he would stay no matter what. I didn't deserve him. I tried to make him pick between me and his kids. Yeah, you're a bad person. Everyone in the world is telling me how bad I effed up. Won't ever make me feel as bad as the look on his face when we broke up. Like it was the hardest choice he made. He always told me that the only things he wanted was a family, a house, and a wife that loved him. Then he deserves better than you. I always wanted someone to be there no matter what, and he was doing that. I just got emotional and angry during my withdrawals, and I took it out on him. That wasn't just during your withdrawals. Terrible to him throughout the entirety of your relationship. There were times I treated him so bad and he just took it. I will never find something like that again. You shouldn't find something like that in the first place. You shouldn't treat somebody like that. I didn't deserve it the first time. He deserved better. He told me he hopes I get better and that I do better in my next relationship and that I find someone that treats me how I want to be treated. Who says that after someone breaks up with them? I just hope he finds someone that can be what he wants them to be and treats him as great as he treated me. I'm going through these steps and talking about all this in group. I didn't realize how selfish I was being. I just wish I could apologize and tell him how sorry I am, but that won't fix anything. I just have to try and get better and better. I don't deserve him forgiving me. Damn straight, you don't deserve him forgiving you. So, no matter what, this person sucks. They're a garbage person. They shouldn't be with somebody in general until they sort their own crap out. But even the first comments are like, you probably shouldn't want to be the same person. You seem like a real dick from this story. Use this to work on not being the same person because it's pretty much guaranteed any change will be better than this. Absolutely. Whoever wrote this is just not a good person at heart. Like I've been in bad relationships. I've been in ones almost as bad as this. There was no substance abuse. There wasn't really any physical abuse, but like somebody tearing you down constantly, threatening to leave or threatening to do whatever, like cut it out immediately. They give you that offer once. They give you the chance once to say like, hey, if you do this, I'm going to leave you. Fine. Like, this is a terrible person. The title of this was telling my boyfriend I wanted to break up to win an argument. You deserve to be broken up with so much earlier.